Hello, everybody. You can call me Hunch, and today I'm going to be talking about why I still think that Bitcoin is going to break its all-time high this year. And I'll give you kind of my thoughts. I'm not going to really do a chart analysis of Bitcoin, but uh, as everybody knows, it's very hard to beat the market. DCAing is probably your best option if you're not a sophisticated trader. Again, most traders lose money, even if they're shit posting on Twitter that they're making a fortune. They're probably losing money. They're lying to you, okay? It increases their follower count. They can sell you subscriptions to things. They can get advertising on their channel, etc., etc. So I'm going to explain to you why I think my call is that it's going to break all-time highs and why I think everybody's wrong, okay? Even the people that I trust. And before we go in, I also just want to say that it's very hard to find genuine people and people you trust, right? People are motivated by all sorts of things. And to elaborate on this a little bit, last year or a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, all the big YouTubers were calling for 250, 400K, 100K, right? There was this consensus. And, for example, BitBoy and some of the other YouTubers in his category were calling for these high prices based off Plan B, etc. Now, you could say, oh, don't put words in my mouth. The general consensus was they were calling for extraordinarily high prices. And now that the market is going down, right, they're all calling for chop, sideways, down, right? They're all trying to cover themselves, save their reputation, or not even save their reputation. They just don't know how to think, okay? So let's dive on in. So I just want to remind everybody of this, and this is an important reason why I disagree with everyone, right? So they're all looking at this chart, right? And this is a classic what Bitcoin looked like in 2008 when I first, or 2018 when I first got in, right? You had the blow off top, it went down, you rallied back up, and then it just like dropped into oblivion, right? Now, I want you to think about this last cycle. We actually had a double top, right? So we had a top, down, double top, down, okay? So the funny thing is some people I actually really trust are saying they think they're around this anger phase, right? But they're looking at the chart from what mimicked 2018. And what here I'm going to argue for is we're actually in the depression phase, right? And I say that because I think the mark, first of all, because it was a double top and the market looked different. And then also I feel like that is because a lot of these Bitcoiners that have been around for a long time, for example, me, who really believed in the technology and really believed that last cycle there was a good shot with El Salvador that this was going to become mainstream and legitimate, right? And yes, we were not only depressed because that didn't happen, we were also depressed because we lost a lot of money. We were up huge Bitcoiners from the last cycle, right? So not only did the vision of us long-term Bitcoiners not to come to fruition, which is depressing, we also lost tons and tons of money, which is not just depressing. I would argue is despair, right? And when you're in despair and at max pain, right, at some point you become numb, right? And you just don't care anymore. And you go, well, this is either going to work out or it's not. Like, we are going to fight for our lives, right? We're going to give it everything we've got to make it. And I've been saying this to a lot of people, right? Like, if Bitcoin doesn't work out, right? If the price does not do something differently this next cycle, right? It just follows these same trends. Like, I'm out. I'm out as a long-term Bitcoiner. I want this to succeed, not because I want to be filthy rich. I want this to succeed because I generally think that the world needs this technology, needs this form of money to prosper, right? I generally believe in the tenets and not all of the philosophies, but some of the underlying theories and philosophies behind this hard money, this separation of money and state, right? A little bit. And not just that, everything that it can do. Okay, so I'm going to argue that we're in the depression phase. Now, here's a prominent YouTuber who kind of goes against the grain, right? And he is saying he's sticking to his plans, right? That Bitcoin is just going to pop up, and it's just kind of like the bottom of the barrel. He's basically arguing for this anger phase, right? And he posted a chart about it actually last week about he posted this, and then he made arrows to the Bitcoin chart and that, right? But remember, it didn't look like this. It was a double top. Now, if any of you have been watching me or scroll through YouTube, this Garrett Soloway is all over it, right? And I'm going to talk about some of the things he talks about, right? He talks about how he believes in Bitcoin, that this is not the last capitulation. There's another leg down, right? And then when you get regulation, that's when big money is going to come in. So what I think is, if you read this, Jamie Dimon, first of all, is just making himself look terrible because he keeps attacking Bitcoin and it is wrong about Bitcoin, right? But there's a couple things that he could be saying here. And you got to evaluate it, right? There's a stream of possibilities happening here. There's a possibility that Jamie Dimon is woefully uninformed about Bitcoin, right? That he just doesn't understand it. He's too old. His brain doesn't work, right? I would argue that's the least likely scenario. The next scenario, I would argue, is that he has ulterior motives, right? It's a fraud. He's called it a Ponzi, right? I mean, clearly he knows how current economics work and how it's a Ponzi, right? Money is a Ponzi. You can't repay the debt. They print more. It gets bigger and bigger. I mean, the new printed money pays for the old printed money. I mean, that is almost by definition to a T what a Ponzi is, okay? So he said it's a Ponzi, it's a waste of time, it's deployable, it's not going to work, it's fraudulent. So that's another possibility, which I tend to think that's the case. I also think that another possibility is that he's trying to suppress the price until regulation comes in, okay? And why would he want to do that, right? He can't buy Bitcoin. Maybe he can, or maybe he can offer products, but he can't personally deploy capital in it or big money capital until there's clear regulation, right? And if I go back to this guy, that's what he says, right? He says that these guys, and I've done all this listening for you guys, so just bear with me. This guy says that the price is really not going to take off until big money comes in, and big money is only coming in if there's regulation. Okay, that's the only way big money is coming in. There has to be regulation. FTX is a fraud, blah, 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 blah. This is the same guy, along with all these other prominent analysts, who are saying Max Pain is the path at which Bitcoin will take. What is the maximum amount of pain? And if I look at this guy, okay, I'm looking at him in his face, okay? And then I'm looking at this guy in his face, okay? And I'm looking at all the people who sold the bottom, who gave up and walked away from this cycle, the Bitcoiners from 2 cycles, which is me. I think there was max depression, max despair, and I still think that there's no regulation so these guys can get in. And on top of that, whether you believe in conspiracy or not, there maybe was some concerted effort by people at the top to destroy Bitcoin through FTX, through not approving the Bitcoin ETF. This, in my mind, is the definition of max pain. Now, this guy I respect, right? He has been making calls. I'll go up here. He said, bullish from near bottom. Hope to see y'all at 10 trillion. Okay. So that was November 12th, 2022. Okay. When most say down, max pain is up, which is exactly what I've argued, right? Most are saying this is a bear market bounce, right? This guy I told you about, who's a big time YouTuber, big time Twitter guy, saying, oh, this is just a rally here. Okay, it happened in the last cycle. So I do think max pain is up. Now, you're going to say, oh, Okay, Max Pain is up, but is it up to all-time highs, right? Is it up to all-time highs? Here's why I think it is. Because all these guys that are either saying we're going to chop or go sideways, and even the guys I respect, like this guy, not respect their opinion, and I found them to be more valid over time because I've been in this for like 6 years. Even they are putting in caveats, right? And he puts this here, right? Retrace and consolidate, right? 2024. So what I think is max pain, which I would argue was, which we were in here for all the hodlers and the believers, despair, right? Not just anger. We were in despair, okay? And I can say that personally because now I've been through 2 cycles, and this cycle hurt more not because it was doing the same thing as last cycle, but because I felt like the vision of Bitcoin and the good that I thought it could do was being crushed, right? That hurt more than me losing money, right? Or in addition to me losing money. So what do I think? I think max pain is 250,000 Bitcoin, right? Now, I'm not saying it's getting to 250,000, right? But you know what 250,000 would do to the people who say things like this, okay? Who are too weak to really understand the technology and say things like this? Oh, it's a bear market rally. Sure, I certainly think that is a real possibility. And I'm not saying this is financial advice. But maximum despair for these people that put us in here with their shilling altcoins and trashing Bitcoin, and FTX selling paper Bitcoin, trying to attack it, and the SEC not approving the Bitcoin ETF because it would send it to 600,000 a piece, right? Because of the demand and the inflows into that in the United States. Max pain for not just this guy and this guy, but also Gary Gensler at the SEC, right? All the people that have called you dumb and stupid and you aren't making sense and you're too intense about it and you should have some cash just in case. Well, even the people are like, I believe you, but just in case, right? Like this guy down here, the Coin Bureau, who is saying, oh, I believe that we'll be going sideways because of the difficult macro outlook, right? Max pain for them is $250,000 of Bitcoin. And that's why I think Bitcoin is going to surpass its all-time highs. Not financial advice, not guaranteed to happen, but I guarantee you, you're going to lose your trousers if that thing goes to 250,000. And so are all these stinking haters. Okay? You can call me Hunch.